Hello, my loves. Welcome back to another video on Starseed Academy for this very fun Halloween series, Halloween Academy. Today, I am going to invite you behind the scenes while I give my husband a spoopy reading. So I'm going to invite him on now, and then we will jump right in. Now, of course, before we do that, I just want to remind you to obviously subscribe. Duh. You want to set your notifications on because I'm releasing videos kind of like all over the place right now with this Halloween series, more than my normal amount, and I don't know, just all over, like whatever days I feel like it. So make sure that you are ready for that. Get your notifications turned on and subscribed, and we invite your comments in the comment section about what you enjoyed or your own experiences, and we ask you to also, of course, share this video. Okay, let's get him on and we will get started.
Oh, hi.
Brian, how are you?
Great.
Awesome. Thank you for coming on today and volunteering to do this with everybody. Okay, so far all I've done is just kind of introduce the video and said that I'm going to be doing a reading for you, but a spoopy reading. So I asked Brian beforehand if it would be okay if he just stays super open-minded about this, and we didn't try to pick one in particular. Like, maybe something that we would already know about, or one of his lifetimes that we've already done a reading on, that we might even be able to get like some brand new information for him today, as well as something maybe brand new for all of you. And so what I'm going to do with Brian right now, and I might edit this out, is actually set up a sacred space with him and I do this with every single client, there's no exceptions, where we're going to call. Sacred space means we call in the archangels, we connect to God's source, we set our intention, and then we call in his team, and then we'll get right to channeling. Okay, so we have Brian's sacred space all set up, his Akashic Gatekeepers, who we're going to be kind of relying on the most to bring through this lifetime. And we are going to really just stay super open to what wants to come through. So I'm just going to take a minute and tune in. And of course, I'll be sharing with you and with Brian everything that I see, feel, hear, know. So Brian's Akashic Gatekeeper her name is Tiani. So Tiani, what can you show us? For some reason, she's already laughing. And I did say during the sacred space that could we make this kind of lighthearted? Because a lot of the times when I do readings for Brian, everything gets so serious. So I was like, oh, can we keep this a little lighter? And she's already laughing and like super joyful about whatever she's going to show us. Okay. She's taking me with her, it's always very literal, like we're always traveling. She's taking me to this pathway that has like a bridge that we're going to, and she's pointing to the bridge and she's pointing under the bridge. Okay, so I just saw two words simultaneously, like troll and goblin. It was like and I don't know if they're the same thing or if one is going to be different than the other, but I've always heard like what lives under a bridge is like trolls live under bridges. So let me just confirm that with her. She's like nodding her head to that. Let me just see. Okay. Okay, I don't know if this is gonna resonate, but she just said that like goblins and trolls are actually from like the same kind of like species line, and that trolls are just like larger versions of what we think maybe goblins are, just smaller things. And she's showing me like a connection between goblins to trolls, and I thought of them as two separate species. You can chime in at what that feels like for you, but that this would just be like subspecies of something like the do you know what I'm trying to say? Like that goblins and trolls are connected and related.
I always saw them as like goblins being like a monkey species and trolls were like a gorilla, but maybe they had a common ancestor.
Well, that's still very common, isn't it? That's
Yeah.
to me, I mean, maybe that's wrong to say, but to me, monkeys and gorillas don't feel that different. So to me, it makes sense that I would see it like that. Like goblins are just like almost smaller versions of the trolls, seem a lot larger. Okay, so that's what she's showing me. I don't know where you fall in this yet, but should be interesting if you're under a bridge. Let's just see what that means. Okay. Okay, so she's saying like, so it is a troll. Okay, and she's showing me, so you're like larger and there's like smaller goblins around, and it is kind of like a fantasy style world, like an Avalon style world. But this particular troll that you are, what she's showing me is that you live in a swamp like kind of region where you're sometimes in the water and sometimes on the land. And you do look like a like I guess humanoid is what, but blockier. Like you're like a block of a being, like with thick arms and like a blocky head and blocky shoulders, and your legs are really, really short for some reason. Like I don't know why, but you're like a block of a thing. Um, kind of, yeah, kind of like that whole gorilla vibe in a way, like where you're very like hunched down like that. And then the vision that I had was of you like where the water was like up to your nose and you were like peeking out of the water and like looking around like this, and the bridge is above you, right? And the bridge is actually quite beautiful because there's all of this like moss and fungus and ivy growing down on both sides of the bridge, which creates like a bit of a curtain under there. um and and I'm hearing above what you're hearing, like clopping footsteps of like a horse going over this bridge, but you're underneath, right? And under the bridge is I see you like climbing a lot, like to get to the road above. It seems quite above, like it seems like you've got this whole world here that's like kind of like swampy, and you can kind of crawl out, and there's, it's like a swamp, but there's like, you know, some like land that you can like almost burrow into. Like it's like you have a little burrow. It's not like a cave, which I also for some reason thought trolls were. It's more like a wetland creature, like a beaver would live in like a burrow kind of thing, and then it would like go into the water and it would do all these things. They just said carnivore, so you're not eating the greens. You are eating like small animals. I see you eating fish, random, and I see you eating like smaller things, right? And I, because you're not that big. She's giving me like like a size estimate, and she's saying like goblins are quite little, and then the troll is more like 4 feet kind of thing, like a 4 foot tall. It's not a huge, that's not to say that there's not bigger ones, but this is just what you are in this. So it's like this, it's not a huge scary hulking monster, it's like this 4 foot blocky like creature. Okay. All right, so then we heard the clop 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 of the hooves above you. She says solitary creature. You're alone, so you live alone. The little goblins are afraid of you because you would eat them. You don't care if they're like cannibalism. Like you're not going to mind that you crunching into things all over. Like lower intelligence is what she's saying as well. Kind of more of that instinctual animal style brain. And for some reason she's showing me the goblins teasing you a lot. Like they're not really that afraid of you. Like when you're asleep, they come in and I see they act almost like, you know how little fairies can be very mischievous. Well, these little goblins that are in this particular swampy land are like more like, you know, 2 foot, kind of like they're tiny little things, even some a little bit smaller. And I see you taking a nap and snoring away in your den, and they're all going in and like pulling your pants down and like doing all these things. Like, I don't know, they're like just being really like mischievous with you. And I see you like waking up and being like, ah, roaring at them and trying to grab them and like throwing things at them. And it reminds me of the movie, what movie, like Jack and the Beanstalk or something, when he goes up and there's that giant, anyway. Okay. And like for facial stuff, your skin is like, your skin color is, it's like you were made to camouflage, because you're all like very like there's like a, it's like a bit of a darker brownish green color, your skin, and you almost have like lily pads on your head, and like your clothing, if you could call it clothing, which it does look like clothing, is just like stuff,
muck, like
maybe
weeds and muck and
something like you do have some kind of a something on like as little pants or shorts, but it looks like it was maybe found, maybe like children's clothing or something, like found, because it looks really torn up and really, really old and stuff. I don't know. Okay, so that's them all teasing you. You live alone. I don't really know where you came from, but it seems like goblins can be anywhere, but trolls hold the territory. and like you're really trying to hold this bridge as your territory, but you're a little bit smaller than like a regular troll. She just said, but that's not the normal size of a troll. Like you're a little bit smaller. She just said like runt of the litter, like almost like you
Yeah.
were like if you. She said when the mother. Why is she saying litter? It's almost like there is a like when the mother gives birth, there's always more than one or something like of a troll. Like it's not like one child at a time. It's like a handful of kids. And then she just leaves them to fend for themselves. It doesn't feel like a very like a mammal would like watch over their children for like a certain amount of time. It doesn't feel that way. It's almost like trolls are like a reptilian mammal or something, like they're in that wetland. I don't know exactly, but anyway, so you kind of really had to fend for yourself, and you're trying to like hold your territory because that's your lively, like that's how you eat, that's how you have safety. And if you get ousted, it's not safe really for you to just be out and about because humans exist in this world and they would totally kill you, because you're seen as something negative or bad in that world, right? But really you're just trying to like live and live your life. Okay, this all seems very fantastical, but it's all very real. Like I'm seeing so many of the details that make it so real, like the lily pads, the ivy, the bridge, the sound of them crossing, you feeling like irritated by these other little guys, you eating fish, like biting off the entire head, eating a fish, and you don't have like sharp teeth though, which is weird for like something that eats like that. Like you have more like human looking teeth. So I don't know. Um, I guess we eat meat too, though. But yeah, like you don't have fangs or anything. It's not terrifying looking. You have more of like blocky teeth, like what a human would have, but thicker, stronger. Like they're big teeth, but they're not pointed, is what I mean. Okay, what else? Your lifespan can be quite long, depending. As long as you hold your territory, you could live 300-400 years, kind of thing. Um, she said, but again, solitary creatures, there's not a lot of like, it doesn't feel like there's a lot of growth that really happens in that span of time. I guess it will always just feel like your life goes by like that, but I'm not seeing like you being like this deep thinker or like philosophical or whatever. You're really just living that incarnation. Like the point of it is just to live, it's just to experience it. It's not really, it's not about like now we're like in lifetimes where we're having spiritual awakenings, we're doing all these big things. It really just feels like it's just to have the experience. It's just it's more simple. um okay, one second. There's more about that she's trying to say about like why you chose it, I guess. Okay, so she's saying like after lifetimes where you've just felt like betrayed or done with like humanity basically, you would choose a lifetime like this to just kind of like sulk, you know what I mean? But that's allowed, like, but to not waste time in the in between, to still have an incarnation, but be like, I don't want to be around people, I just want to be left alone, I just want to do my own thing, I just want to putter around and like build my little
Yeah.
hut and play on my bridge and scare people and scare kids and just like be kind of like, it feels like a grumpy little soul, right?
Hmm.
Like a grumpy little soul. It was just like sitting around like eating fish heads. Like, I don't know.
I
Just
can see that. Being like, that lifetime sucked. Screw you guys. I'm gonna be a troll. Leave me alone. I'm under my bridge. Like, that's so funny.
mhm.
I get it.
And you and also you like put off a very strong like odor in this lifetime that also just leaves you alone. Like it's like because of your diet and because you know what a swamp smells like and you're just always in the
Hmm.
swamp, plus you're eating raw fish. It's like it's quite a strong odor. And so that also is like a built-in, oh, you know, like some animals have that built in to like repel people. It's like you're just trying to repel. You don't want visitors. That's why you hate the little goblins so much, because they're so joyful all the time and it just makes you angry. Um, but like not this like not what I thought we were going to pull for a Halloween reading, not like this super evil, but evil intention thing. It's more grumpy than anything. And really that's, you know, not so big. All right. So she wants to keep pointing me up towards the bridge. So let me just see why. So I'm seeing you being a lot more nimble than I would have thought just looking at what I've seen so far. But as soon as you start to hear, because the bridge goes like this, as soon as you start to hear the hooves, you're like actually quite fast. You're like right up. And that was a little creepy, to be honest with you. That was a little scary because you move so fast. And that reminds me of like gremlins and stuff. But anyway, you got up there really quickly. And then you have like, there's like a space in the bridge where you know your hand can fit through, right? Where you can reach up and you reach up and you like grab the horse's hooves and like make them like trip almost or freak out. And when you grab the horse's hooves, sometimes they trip and knock the rider off, or sometimes the horse rears back because you grab and you pull it, and the humans don't see it happen, but the horse certainly knows. And so you kind of like terrorize the horses in order to get them to throw their whatever their stuff. And then you're very quick about what you gather. It's like a little bit of that dragon soul coming through where I see you gathering shiny things. Like when the purses go off, it's like you're very fast. Like this is feels very contrary to the way that you look, but like you're like up over the side of that bridge so fast, and you're in these very brownish and greenish like camouflage, so it's hard to almost like, I don't know, you don't stand out or anything. And when everybody's like distracted by the commotion, you're just like grabbing the food satchel, the water, the money, the what, it's like a little thief grabbing things off. So again, not as bad as I thought. I thought we were going to see you try to eat the horse or the human, and that's not the case. You're more of like a scavenger, of their stuff,
Mm-hmm.
And then you take all this back to your little hut, and then you look at it all, like all of your little jewels. And I see you burying things in different areas so that they're protected and safe. And I see you, yeah, with like wealth and food and different things. Okay, I'm gonna ask for Tiani to just give us some kind of a closure kind of thing before we end this, about like, I feel like there's one more thing that's going to tie some things together. So just give me one sec. Like, Tiani, why are we showing Brian like a troll life? Surrounded by goblins, super grumpy, terrorizing horses and humans. She says it's, look at the humans he's terrorizing. And terrorizing is a strong word, she says. Look at the humans he's causing an annoyance to. They're always puffed up with pride, knights in their armor. He watches wagons of families and children go over, and he's not really doing anything. But when he sees the kings, and when he sees the princes, and when he sees the knights, and when he sees the whatever, it's that pomp and circumstance that just sets you off and makes you so angry, and you just go and you do that. It's a built-in resentment towards knighthood, kings, noble. She said a resentment towards nobility, because you've had a lifetime in that world where you've been betrayed, and I feel like that's happened to you many times. So you have a great love of knights and kings and horses and armor, but you also have this other side of you that really resents it and sees the ego in it, and sees the way that gets good men to do bad things. And so you wanted to just have a lifetime, like you're literally, like she says, like a bump on the road, like an annoyance, a little bump in the road that stops and like takes their things, and just, it was a lifetime of you stewed in your resentments a little bit, in your bitterness. You just needed that. And in a weird way, it was like a lifetime of integration, where you got your revenge out in like the least harmful way that you could, but it still helped. And it helped you to integrate, like your resentments or your bitterness towards that, so that you could kind of get some of that out of your system in like the least harmful way, but you still needed to do it. And your lifetime was very long. So you also saw lifetimes of these people where they would die. Like, say you saw, because it's like a small area where you are, probably saw the same kinds of knights and kings and stuff often. It's a beautiful bridge, so you're in a nice area, but you're just underneath that, and it is like right outside of a prominent little village. So you would see, say for instance, the same night, his lifetime go by, where he got to be old and you're still going. And that also for some reason made you heal in a way where you were like, well, I'm outside of that. I am immortal, like I will live 300 or 400 years, and you had to feel like you had a power as you saw them kind of get weaker. It was another way of you to integrate that. So this lifetime was all about you kind of getting back at that world and living on the outsides of that world as an outsider looking in, when so many lifetimes you were in those kinds of lives of like Knights at the Round Table or Knights in Avalon, looking from the inside out. This time you look from the outside in, almost like a window watcher kind of thing, somebody that feels on the outside and watches it all happen. Like I see you seeing like, you know, wedding carriages going by and babies, and knowing who those people are, and a bit of their stories of their life. You learned a lot just from observing it all. And then you kind of just got to be like this grumpy, really old, had treasures from so many hundreds of years and didn't want to share it with anybody, and just, and so it's like somebody might look at that lifetime from the outside and be like, what did you learn? Like you didn't change from the beginning to the end. But somebody else like Tiani or Akashic Gatekeeper is like, oh, you were integrating. You were lessening your bitterness and your resentment. You were cooling down so that you could like, okay, I can go back in as like a human kind of lifetime.
Get it out of your system,
Yeah.
let it cool off, and yeah, that's
And take your anger and resentment out in smaller ways, but still be able to do things, right? Towards the goblins, towards the people passing by.
that's really fun and hilarious.
I
So,
literally asked for something
yeah.
so fun and lighthearted. And I mean, I feel kind of sad for that little guy, but it is kind of fun and lighthearted. Like, run to the litter, he's got a lot to prove. You know, like so angry, so grumpy. Let me show the bigger man what I can do. Like it was like resentment from that life plus other lifetimes coming through, right?
It's fun. I love it. It's because I love, the light side, the knights in shining armor who fight the monsters, but I also love the monsters, the goblins, the trolls,
Yeah.
the gremlins, the dragons, all of that. Like it's all fun. I like
Yeah.
so it's
I've
funny to
had
see.
lifetimes where I've tried to help those kinds of beings, as you know.
Hmm.
And interesting that that might be connected too, because yeah, I don't know. I just have had lifetimes with you where I've tried to help that kind of a being. It went really badly.
Hmm.
And it started a lot. And then it's interesting that you would choose to then be one of those beings.
Maybe it's oneness. You have to be on both sides.
Isn't that weird? I just thought of that now. That's another weird connection. But yeah, crazy. Well, thank you to Tiani and to your guides. And thank you, Brian, for
Mhm.
being so open and vulnerable with the whole world. And like going along with like, imagine I'm saying to Brian, like, would you let me do a spoopy reading for you and film it and release it publicly? And he's like, yeah, like totally all in, like doesn't even know
Do
what's
it.
going to be said or come through. That's like a certain level of vulnerability when you don't know what the person is going to say and you know it's going to be public, right? So, but are you cool with it all? Like, I mean, being
Yeah.
thought of as
I
that being one of your lives?
think it's amazing. It's funny. It's fun. It's lighthearted. And it's fun to mix in little lifetimes. You have big lifetimes that are
Yeah.
like powerful or tragic or something huge happens, and then you have the little troll run lifetimes where you're not intelligent and stink, and then
I know.
like it balances things out. But that's the one that gets publicly shared, so it's funny. It's like friends will be like, "He's a little troll."
I
So
know you're probably
it's
thinking like, man, I have lifetimes where I was so cool. What about when I was an Egyptian priest and I had all this power? It's like, no, let's talk about when you were a little goblin troll.
little stinky troll guy. Yeah. So
Oh my God.
no, it's fun.
Love it.
I love it. Thank you so much.
To balance karma, we now need to release one of your best, coolest readings. That's amazing. Well, thank you for being so cool. That just says a lot about how far you've come. You know, that little guy was a bit of an egomaniac, and now you're just like, what? It's all good.
I love laughing. I want other people to laugh too. And if I can help, cool.
Amazing. Okay, awesome. Well, thank you, you guys, for tuning in. Thank you so much. And again, thank you to Brian for being so cool and open about this. Let us know what you thought in the comments. I'm sure Brian and I will both be checking out the comments on this one. I mean, did you also have a lifetime as a troll or a goblin? Let us know. You knew Brian. Maybe you were on the top of the bridge and he was like pulling at your horse and your feet and stuff. You never know.
Maybe
So
you're a goblin pissing me off.
yeah, yeah, exactly. You never know. Um, you never know. It really did have like the vibes of like an Earth kind of style world. I don't know if I said that, but it really just felt like humans were there and, so far back when there was still magic, what a lot of people call Avalon, which is funny because that's Brian's name, Oracle of Avalon. You should follow him on Instagram immediately after this. It's funny because it really does always feel like I'm tuning into Avalon whenever I do readings for you, or at least like 90% of the time. So that was another one that felt like that time. I thought your soul just loves that world so much. And I feel like you have literally been every kind of being that you can be on Avalon, which is why you need to make your new Oracle deck, the Creatures of Avalon, because it's all you, babe. It's all just you. So,
I'll have to work on it.
yeah, you definitely should. Okay. Well, thank you so much, everyone. I'm going to leave it there. And remember to like this video. Make sure to subscribe because I've got a bunch of weird videos coming out for this new series, The Halloween Academy, and they're all at random days and times. So turn on your notifications as well. And check out the links in bio. If you want to hang out with me, come join the membership. We do weird stuff like this. If you want a reading like what Brian got, a full-fledged 60-minute reading, links in bio for booking a session as well. And before we go, please remember, say it with me, Brian, listen to your heart and the quiet voice
within.
Because you are so much more than the body
you are.
Thank you so much, Starseeds. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Thank you.